What did Palace Malice's win do to 3-year-old division, do you think?
I think it just, did more to leave it wide open with 3 different winners of each Triple Crown race. That everyone kind of goes into the rest of the summer and fall of the year with similar resumes.
So is Orb still the leader in your eyes?
I don't think there's a clear-cut leader now. With Oxbow running first and second, I'd say it's still wide open and largely depend on what happens in the fall of the year.
How did he come out, Todd?
Excellent. Yeah, it's a remarkable horse, and he bounces out of his races really well, and it was a tough race and a demanding race, but he surprises me at how resilient he is. He was feeling very good this morning.
What's the world? What would you point for him now down there?
I haven't really had a chance to talk at depth about it with Mr. Campbell. I said yesterday that I know Mr. Campbell's a big Saratoga guy, so I would think that Jim Dandy would make sense. But give it a few days and talk about it.
When you have so many 3-year-olds that are in training now, what are you going to do with them in the summer?
Run them, I hope.
Do you know what? Is there any plan for any specific ones right now?
Well, we're only 12 hours, 14 hours after the Belmont, so yeah. All the races that are in play. Verrazano worked this morning. He's going to run in the Pegasus and then hopefully back in the Haskell. And we get the races at Saratoga, and there's a lot of nice races around, so I'm sure we'll find spots for him.
How close were you ever to giving up on Palace Malice, like trying him in race? Because you said you saw him in workouts, how he always showed it to you there, but he kept losing on the racetrack. Did it ever come to a point where you just said maybe try him on grass, or just say
No.
No, just you just always saw it every time when he worked.
Yeah, I mean, if you look back at his races, he ran well in the allowance race first time back. He almost got there in the Risen Star. The Louisiana Derby was just a nightmare trip, and then he was really close to winning the Bluegrass. And his Derby race wasn't that bad. He just went too fast, and he was still right there at the 8th pole. So then when he came back and trained like he did, there was never any consideration about not trying the Belmont.
And it's to see with the fractions that him and Oxbow were basically up, 46-3. And
yeah, I mean they were running,
yeah.
And for both of them to be around at the end was a credit to them both. But yeah, we got the exact trip we wanted. The fractions were a little quicker than we anticipated they'd be, but we were in the position we wanted to be in and in a good, comfortable rhythm. And that's the main thing that Mike and I had talked about was, it wasn't so much about whether you're on the lead or you're 8th. It's just about being in the clear and kind of letting him find his rhythm. And he's a great galloping horse, and if you can get him into a comfortable flow, that's what we're trying to accomplish.
Did Mike express anything after the Derby about wanting another chance on him, or you just said, Mike's a good rider, we'll just give him another chance?
We talked about it, and the one thing that we were trying to establish was some consistency. We had different riders on him just by circumstances, and in the spring of the year when there's so many races going on, and the jockeys are sometimes one place versus another and have to make some decisions. The one thing is, it wasn't Mike's fault the way that the Derby unfolded, and maybe Mike learned something from it, and we learned something from it, and so we're just trying to establish some consistency and trying to get the same guy on him, for a number of starts.
Could you reflect on the whole Triple Crown with Phipps and Janney winning, and then Calumet winning, and then Cut Campbell winning?
I mean, I think all 3 victories were great for our sport and great for the business. Me personally, I thought it was just very gratifying to win a big race like that for Dogwood and Mr. Campbell and Paul Orifice, and those guys gave me a chance a long time ago, and it was very satisfying to win one for them.
You do the limit budget.
I would say she'd probably go to the coaching club July 20th if she bounces out of this well, which so far she has.
how tough is it to tell an owner, that I think we should pass the $1 million Preakness, and pass $1 million race to wait for the Belmont?
It hasn't been difficult at all for me. No one's said, oh no, really want to go. But they used to have the bonus structure, which maybe was added incentive to run in all 3. But, like I said yesterday, though, of the 5 horses that we ran in the Derby, just the way they came out of it, Palace Malice would have been the one that, if we really wanted to run back in the Preakness, his energy level was there. He was doing well enough. It was more about his schedule leading into the Derby. When we got the bad trip in Louisiana, we had to come back in the Bluegrass to make sure we had enough points to get in, and so we ran back in 2 weeks there, and then 3 weeks to the Derby, and then asked him to go, 2 more weeks. It seemed like a lot.
Speaking of Kirtland, this is kind of like he got his Belmont.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting for us to, have won with rags to riches and then come back with the son of Kirtland.
I saw someone write that the last part of the race, the difference in it may have been breeding. That the last gasp in the race, that the difference was who the sire was.
Doesn't hurt, that's for sure. The one thing that we felt like going in was that he had the pedigree to get the 1.5 miles, not only on the top side but the bottom side as well. So that's we felt like that was a big part of rags to riches, and why we decided to run her, and why it was an easy decision to run Palace Malice as well.
What do you say that you see that you kept seeing it in him in the mornings that you knew this was going to come out eventually? What is it? I mean, besides an easy work, a nice.
Yeah, just impressive works, and when you have a group of 3-year-olds like we have this year, and you're able to kind of work them together and compare them a little bit. Mm-hmm. He was always right there with the best ones we have, but in particular, the work 2 works ago, that was pretty impressive. We emphasize the gallop outs a lot, monitor those pretty closely, and I don't recall too many horses galloping out a mile in 1:38 and 3. We've seen some 39s and a lot of 40s and 41s, but 38 and 3 and not being aggressively ridden to do it. I said that was pretty awesome, and gave us a lot of confidence coming in that he was doing well and was going to run a big race.
How did the others come out of it?
Everyone came out really well. Yeah, I think everybody was a little tired after the race yesterday, but everybody seemed good this morning and bright and knock on wood, no issues.
And the filly, what are your plans with her?
Probably the coaching club, which is 6 weeks from now, if she goes back and trains like we want her to.
Training, how about Verrazano this morning?
So he's very good again. He's had 3 solid works since the Derby, and we're on target for the Pegasus now. And hopefully that leads us to the house.
Did he just the Derby, just the wet track?
Yeah, horrible trip. It just nothing panned out well. He kind of was too close to a fast pace and sloppy conditions that I don't think he handled, and kind of had Vijack locked onto him from the get-go. It just never could get into a comfortable rhythm at all.
And your Kentucky Oaks winner back on the work track today.
Yeah, that was her second work since the Oaks, and we're pointing her for the coaching club, so we still got 6 more weeks to go, but just kind of getting her back into a routine, and just looked good this morning.
Came like getting the priors off that, or the victory ride still?
Yeah, I think the victory ride's still in play, but we'll see how the next couple of works go before we decide.
And then the Julie today, would you?
She's like a clockwork out there, just 48 just effortlessly, and seems like she's a good form.
So when the Belmont at 7 o'clock yesterday, and then this morning worked that roster of horses, this is deep.
Yeah, we're blessed with a talented roster right now, and like I said, beginning of the year and last summer, when we had pretty strong Saratoga with 2-year-olds, you just hope that they can stay healthy and develop from 2 to 3, and we've been fortunate that a lot of them have.
Do you allow yourself time to celebrate victory?
A little bit. We had a good time last night, but 4 o'clock was pretty early the next day.
Time to go to bed.
About midnight.
And you have so.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, if you did more than Wayne after the Preakness, who got
What do you go by, Jack in the Box? Or what?
No, ice cream.
A hot apple pie with he splurged and had 2 scoops of ice cream and
Oh,
went to
yeah.
bed. Todd, what
Let's
about
see if we can get you a copy of
40
that.
Tails?
Came back really well, and probably point for the Amsterdam next.
Do you look back at Palace Malice this spring and say, God, what if with this horse? Because he just had, you ran into the wall in the Louisiana Derby. I don't know if it's true, but it looked like you called it a kind of a rare audible to even go to the Bluegrass just to try to get him. Like things just were not falling into place with the horse, and now, and he always looks so powerful in the morning. I mean, is it vindication? And maybe you look back and go, what if things had come together a little better?
Well, I mean, it's hard to look back and be too disappointed if you win the Belmont. So,
No, of course.
but yeah, I think he was unlucky a couple of times, particularly in the Louisiana Derby. It was just, it wasn't anyone's fault. He was getting a great trip until the quarter pole, and then everything just collapsed in front of him, and basically he just was not allowed to run at all through the lane. So, Mr. Campbell and I had actually spoken about before the Louisiana Derby that if we ran well there and got points that we felt like would get us into the Derby, that would be it. And we also felt like if something went wrong, that we would keep the bluegrass in mind, because he'd sold at Keeneland and had worked well in the synthetic there, and we felt like if there was a backup plan, that's what it was going to be.